This week, I'm going to share with you 3 ways to dramatically accelerate the efficiency of your team meetings. My name is Dave McKeown, and these are my findings from the outfield. Hey everybody, Dave McKeown here with another episode of Findings from the Outfield powered by Prezi. We all know what it's like to walk out of a meeting and think, well, gosh, that's 2 hours of my life that I'll never get back. Whether it's getting lost in unhelpful debate, getting bogged down in the minutia, or just a lack of clarity on what it is that we're there to do, it's easy to waste precious time in a team setting. And today I'm going to share with you how to squeeze more out of your team interactions so that they're worth the investment. The first thing that you can do is to stay ruthlessly focused on the right horizon. Too often when we get our team together, we think that we need to address every issue that's currently under the sun. So we go from runway level day-to-day issues to discussions of who we are as an organization, all with a brief detour to check in on our current goals. And the problem with this approach is that it takes a very different mindset to discuss those action level items than it does to review those longer term, more strategic plans. And so when we move between those horizons, we've got a tendency to leave a few people behind at every level. I find that shorter and more regular meetings focused around one horizon at a time will always trump a marathon session that attempts to cover multiple areas. So keep your weekly meetings focused on those actions and tactics, your monthly meetings focused on those tactics and strategies, and your quarterly meetings focused on those strategies and the longer term vision. You'll find that your people have more energy, they are able to give more, and you'll crank through your agenda in no time. Now, speaking of that agenda, the second way that you can increase the effectiveness of your team meetings is by providing clarity on the purpose of those agenda items. There are typically only 3 reasons why something never gets on your agenda. First of all, it's something that you think the team should be aware of. It's an FYI only. Secondly, it's a challenge or a situation that you'd like some feedback on. Or third, it's something that you need to put to the group for discussion and a decision. And so when you're crafting the agenda, or even better, when you're asking folks to add to it, have them indicate the purpose of each item. Like literally write in, this is for information only, or this is something that you want feedback on, or this is a decision that needs to be made by the group. When you do that, you'll find that it's much easier to stay aligned and engaged, and you'll get better outcomes when you have that level of clarity. Now, the third thing that you can do is to take your next actions a step further than normal. I'm sure you've walked out of a meeting and sort of thought, well, that was a good meeting, but I can't even remember what it was that we actually agreed. That means that you're not spending enough time fleshing out your implementation plans. So start to build in a non-negotiable period at the end of those meetings to clearly outline the next steps. At an absolute minimum, you've got to capture what was agreed and who's going to be taking ownership over those next steps. To take it a little bit further, however, and also to increase team alignment, use the time to build both communication and accountability plans. And you can do that by answering these pretty simple questions. First of all, who needs to be informed of the decision? Maybe there's a group that isn't in the room that will be involved in implementation, or perhaps you've got an individual or two whose support you need. So make sure that you're really clear on who you need to communicate with. Secondly, what's the best form for that communication? Is it an email, an instant message? Do you need a full-scale town hall? Or maybe something in between? When you choose the right medium for communication, it ensures that the information doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Next question to ask is, who's responsible for the communication? Is this something that the leader of the group needs to communicate out? Is it something that everybody in the room needs to distribute with an aligned voice? In the same way that you want to have one person lead the implementation efforts, you also want one person to spearhead the communication efforts. So even if there are multiple people involved in the communication, ensure that there's one person leading those efforts. Then when we move on to accountability, just ask the simple question, when are we going to review progress? Don't let that action slip off your ongoing accountability list. Do you need a separate meeting or is your usual cadence sufficient? Get clear on when you're going to want the group to weigh in again. So there you have it, 3 ways to maximize the effectiveness of your team meetings. Keep a ruthless focus on the right horizon, provide clarity on the purpose of each agenda item, take those next actions a step further, and build the communications and accountability plan. I hope you have fun doing it. Let me know how it goes and make sure you're subscribed to receive more episodes of Findings from the Outfield.